3 shocking secrets on Alberta's oil field. You won't believe the rules they enforce at midnight. Under the ominous veil of night, the Alberta oil field whispers secrets that can chill even the toughest souls. Locals speak in hushed tones about the strange rules that come to life when the clock strikes midnight. Rumors swirl about eyes watching from the shadows, with workers vanishing without a trace when they fail to follow these bizarre edicts. One rule orders strict silence, enforcing a haunting stillness that seems to cling to the very air around them. What truth lies beneath the surface, lurking like a beast ready to strike? While the sun casts a golden glow on the oil rigs during the day, under the moon's gaze, shadows dance with unsettling intent. Workers can hear strange humming noises, almost as if the ground itself is alive and vibrating with secrets of its own. A passing truck might lull a worker into false security, yet the gleaming headlights often reveal nothing but stillness, as if the field holds its breath in anticipation. When the machines roar awake, a foreboding feeling creeps in, leaving a tightness in their chests. What are these sounds? What do they mean? Then there's the legend of the phantom this oil field contains. It's said to roam the darkness, guarding an ancient secret buried deep within the earth. Many swear they've seen glimpses of this specter, a flicker of light, a shadow darting just out of sight. A chill runs down their spine at the thought. You didn't hear the whistle last night, did you? One worker asked another, eyes wide with fear. The answer hung heavy between them like smoke. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As darkness envelopes the field, the tension thickens. A sudden scream slices through the air, a breaking point for nerves taut from fear. It's just the wind. Someone yells, but deep down they all know it's more than that. Every glance exchanged carries the weight of unsaid words, leaving minds racing with thoughts of what really lies in that midnight mist. Who will be brave enough to venture to the heart of the oil field, where the whispers grow louder and the rules become more twisted? What will they discover when the veil of night unravels and the truth is exposed? The wind howled like a wounded animal, rattling through the metal structures of the oil rigs. Shadows shifted uneasily in the flickering light of the worksite lamps. Jack, a seasoned hand on the field, stood frozen, a creeping sensation crawling up his spine. He could swear he'd seen something flicker just out of the corner of his eye. Was it the phantom? Or was paranoia twisting his mind into knots? He glanced at his coworker, Emma, who was biting her lip, her eyes darting nervously around. Did you hear it? She whispered, almost too softly against the cacophony of nighttime sounds. Jack nodded grimly. The whistle, a harrowing sound, haunting the silence like a ghostly warning. The tales spoke of a curse laid upon those who strayed from the rules. Jack had been here long enough to know not to dismiss it lightly. The others shuffled nervously, glancing at the clock. Midnight was just minutes away. Fueling their anxiety, the machines churned like a restless beast, their vibrations merging with the low hum emanating from below ground. Jack felt a tightness in his chest. This wasn't just machinery, there was something more beneath the surface. Something that stirred restlessly. A sudden clang echoed through the night, jerking the team out of their tense silence. A toolbox had fallen from a nearby rig, metal clattering against metal with a force that seemed unnatural. Emma flinched. That's not how tools behave, she gasped, her eyes wide. Jack agreed. Nothing should have been out there unbidden. Then, it happened. The lights flickered and dimmed, casting long, eerie shadows that seemingly danced and twisted in the darkness. Hearts raced as a deep, resonating hum filled the air, vibrating through the ground like a heartbeat. Some workers clasped their hands together, fear bubbling to the surface as they began to whisper fears that had lain silent for too long. Did you hear about Dave? One man's voice trembled, slicing through the rising panic. He was here last week, then gone. Just like that. Jack swallowed hard. We can't live in fear. We have to stay silent. Otherwise he cut himself off, not wanting to voice the unthinkable. But the unsaid hung palpably, casting a pall over the crew, the thoughts coiling and expanding like dark clouds on the horizon. An eerie silence followed. The humming amplified, reverberating through the bones of the workers. It wrapped around each person until they were nearly paralyzed by the sensation. Suddenly, a soft, almost melodic whistle pierced the air, high and haunting. The ground rumbled beneath their feet, a warning tremor. Emma gasped, her voice trembling. What is that? Then, out of the blackness, a shape emerged. A flickering light darted between the rigs, ethereal and ghostly. The workers gasped collectively, frozen in place as the light twisted and turned, leading them deeper into the shadows of the field. Jack's heart raced. There it was, the phantom they spoke of, just as the rumors foretold. Was it beckoning or warning them? He inhaled sharply, feeling the weight of the choice before him. Should they follow the light, confronting the unknown, or flee back to the safety of the known rules? A tense moment lingered, vibrating with uncertainty, until Jack took a step forward. We need to know. Whatever truth lies out there, we face it together. Before anyone could respond, the light flickered again, vanishing into the darkness, leaving them with a chilling silence and growing dread. The midnight hour approached, and with it, the unyielding question. What awaited them at the heart of the oil field? The moment hung in the air, a decision loomed. Would they chase the mystery, or was the truth too frightening to confront? Jack felt the pull of the flickering light tugging at him, an irresistible magnetism that integrated part excitement with a sharp edge of dread. He glanced back at his crew. Their faces were pale, expressions ranging from nervous anticipation to sheer terror. Emma was halfway to him, her eyes wide and pleading, silent words flowing between them. Don't. We should call it a night, she urged, but her voice quivered. They had always been a tight-knit group, but tonight, the bond felt frayed. With the sudden clang of the toolbox and the whispers of the phantom, trust in the safety of their environment was shattered. Jack took another step into the unknown, the ground underfoot oddly solid despite the chaos swirling in his mind. Stay close, he urged. The others shuffled, lingering just for a moment, then followed him, their camaraderie morphing into a collective courage that felt more like desperation. They moved forward, the ghostly light beckoning like a siren call as they advanced. The hum grew louder, a low thrum that echoed in their chests, almost harmonizing with their racing hearts. Shadows danced wildly around them, warping shapes as if the darkness had eyes, watching their every movement. Do you see it? One worker, Tom, asked, his voice trembling. It looks like a figure. Jack focused. Just ahead, the light coalesced into something more tangible, revealing the fleeting outlines of a person, or something humanoid. The figure reached out, fingers curling as if beckoning them even closer. Jack could feel a knot tightening in his stomach. Part of him wanted to run back, to turn away from whatever nightmare lay ahead. Keep going, he urged, forcing himself to take a breath. We have to find out what this is. But the deeper they went, the more unnatural the surroundings became. Suddenly, the humming shifted, morphing into a piercing shriek that rocked through their bones, leaving them stunned. Emma shouted, "What is happening?" Then, without warning, the ground shifted violently, sending them all stumbling. Some workers fell, their cries swallowed by the chaos. Jack caught Emma as she lost her balance, the terror in her eyes reflected in his own. "We need to regroup," he shouted over the fray, but the panicked shuffle of feet and the eerie sounds drowned out his words. One of the workers, Caleb, was shaking his head violently, backpedaling away from the figure. "It's a trap. This whole thing is a trap." Jack turned back to the flickering light. The figure seemed to waver, growing more distinct, the outlines sharper. It wasn't a ghost, it looked like one of the past workers. The skin pallid, the eyes dark like hollow pits. An unsettling realization spiraled through Jack's mind. This could be Dave. the one who had vanished. "Don't look!" Emma screamed, grasping Jack's arm tightly. The terror in her voice echoed all around. "We need to leave. Now." But before he could respond, the air turned electric. A searing jolt of energy crackled in the atmosphere, and the darkness seemed to pulse with life. The figure lunged forward just as the lights flickered again, plunging them into near-total blackness. In that moment of disarray, something cold brushed against Jack's neck. He shuddered and whirled around, searching for reassurance among the panic-stricken faces of his crew. He could feel the imminent threat pulsating in the air. Would they escape this nightmare? Or was it already too late? The shift in the night was palpable, and Jack couldn't shake the feeling that whatever secret lay at the heart of the oil field was not just a ghost story but a reality waiting to consume them. The shadows stretched, almost reaching for him, and Jack realized their desperation was only beginning. A decision had to be made. Could they confront what was haunting them, or should they turn back and possibly lose everything they held dear in their search for the truth? As silence enveloped them again, the weighty question loomed larger than ever. Had they just unleashed something more dangerous than they could ever comprehend? The darkness felt alive, closing in, thick as fog, wrapping around Jack and his crew like a vice. He could barely see Emma's face now, just the faint outline, her breaths coming in quick gasps. Fear hung heavy in the air, slicing through the panic like a shard of glass. "Jack," she whispered, her fingers gripping his arm like a lifeline. "We can't just stand here." The thought of turning back nagged at him, but the figure loomed ahead, now more prominent, almost tangible. The air crackled with a tension that hit him like a punch. His heart raced so fast he thought it might explode. "Stay together," he barked, voice shaking. Clutching Emma's hand tightly, he stepped forward, instinctively leading the group. They were all he had left, their faces flickering between fear and determination. "Please, let it be Dave," he murmured under his breath, hoping that recognition could somehow soothe the horror unfolding around them. Then the shriek pierced the silence again, a sound that scraped against reason and sanity, sending shivers straight down their spines. Jack fought the urge to bolt. They deserved closure, or at least some answers. He took another step. "Jack, don't!" yelled Caleb, gripping Tom's arm for support. "It's not safe. We should go." But the moment he tried to order a retreat, a sudden gust of wind swept through the clearing, rustling the trees and shaking the ground beneath their feet. Jack could feel the heart of the earth pounding, a rhythm aligning with their anxiety. The figure seemed to pulse with the darkness, morphing into something more menacing and distorted. Jack's throat tightened. It wasn't Dave. No, it was something else, something worse. "Jack, it's moving!" Tom screamed, his voice breaking. They all turned to run when a blinding flash erupted from the figure, illuminating the horror for a torturous heartbeat. Jack's blood ran cold. The face, twisted in grief or rage, it was a warning they couldn't ignore. "Back!" he shouted, but there was no escaping the malevolence that radiated outward, as if the shadows themselves were alive. Suddenly, Emma stumbled. Jack reached out, his fingertips brushing her wrist, but it was too late. She fell, disappearing into the thick darkness, swallowed whole as if the very shadows had claimed her. "Emma!" Jack roared, scrambling toward her, but the darkness turned like a whirlpool, pulling him away. He felt himself being drawn back into the chaos. The sound of his crew's yells blurred into an echoing cacophony. "Help me!" Emma's voice curled around Jack's heart, despair palpable. "No, I won't leave you." Panic ignited within him. Jack strained against the inky abyss, the weight of uncertainty pressing down harder than ever. Just then, the ground shuddered, and with it, the light flickered back to life, revealing the specter stood closer now. It extended its hand as if offering salvation or dooming them to something far worse. Jack stumbled forward, instinctively seeking Emma's figure trapped somewhere in the chaos when a harsh laugh rang out, slicing through the fear. A voice echoed from the depths of the shadows, a voice like gravel scraping on stone. "Do you really think you can save her? You're too late. The price has already been paid." Desperation clawed at Jack as he stood paralyzed, caught between a decision that could cost him everything. Should he reach for the light or risk losing Emma forever? In that moment of horror, he realized their worst fears might be only just beginning. What if there was no home to return to, no escaping the nightmare that awaited them? Jack, with his heart pounding like a war drum, faced the figure. Whatever came next, he would face it head-on. Would they pay the ultimate price? Or was redemption still within reach? As shadows danced angrily around him, one thing became painfully clear: this was not just a fight for survival, but a clash against the very darkness that threatened to engulf them all. If they had unleashed something more powerful, what hope remained for them? Would they become just another shadow among the lost? The pulsating darkness pressed closer, thickened by the weight of dread that hung in the air. Jack's breath quickened. Every instinct screamed at him to turn away, but the loathsome figure before him held him captive, as if he were stuck in a nightmare with no way to wake up. "Emma!" he shouted into the void, desperation twisting his voice tighter. But the silence that followed was deafening, amplifying his fear. Heartache brought a lump to his throat, and he struggled to swallow it down. He felt a wave of futility wash over him. What could he possibly do against this? "Jack, please!" Caleb's voice broke through the suffocating quiet, pulling him back from the edge of despair. "We need to think. What do we do?" The figure loomed larger, its hand like a black hole reaching for him, almost inviting. Jack glanced at Tom, whose expression held a mix of terror and resolve. He realized they were going to face it together no matter how powerless they felt. "Whatever this is, we confront it," Tom insisted, his voice gaining confidence. "We can't leave Emma behind." But the pressure of the darkness seemed to smother them, squeezing the light from their eyes. Each step Jack took felt like marching through molasses, every inch forward a fight against something far larger than himself. "I'll find her," he yelled, feeling the adrenaline surge through him. With a deep breath, Jack surged toward the figure, his heart hammering, as if it wanted to betray him and stop beating altogether. Just as he closed the distance, a grotesque smile twisted the figure's features, gleaming maliciously, revealing rows of jagged teeth that appeared sharper than any blade. "You seek her," it rasped. "But what will you sacrifice?" Sacrifice. The word slithered into Jack's mind, curling around his thoughts like a snake. He felt dread rising in him, powerful and overwhelming. What would it take to save her? Jack choked out, but the voice of the figure cut across him. "It is already written," it taunted, its eyes glowing with an unearthly light. "A payment is due." The shadows swirled like a tempest, and in the chaos, Jack could swear he heard Emma's voice again, a fleeting, desperate plea. "Jack, help me." "Shut up," he barked back in anguish, trying to push away the panic threatening to swallow him. The figure seemed to grow stronger, feeding off his terror. "Do you really think you can save her?" it hissed, a chilling echo reverberating in the stillness. Jack remembered too well what loss felt like, the aching void, the absence that could never be filled. He had already lost so much, how could he possibly lose more? Sprinting forward, fueled by desperation, Jack reached out, extending his hand toward the specter, catching a glimpse of something solid yet horrifying behind it, the outline of Emma, pleading, struggling to break free from chains made of darkness. But as he reached closer, the anguished wail erupted from the figure, making his chest tighten. "You do not know what you ask." The ground trembled violently beneath him, throwing him off balance. Jack stumbled but held his ground, feeling an invisible connection to Emma pulling him forward. Time twisted unnaturally as he heard Caleb scream, "Jack!" "No!" Doubt flickered in his chest, but Jack squared his shoulders. "I'm not afraid," he bellowed into the darkness. With a sudden flash, the figure lunged, more feral than ever, and Jack braced himself for contact. The weight of fate hung heavy. Would he grab back what he'd lost or dive deeper into despair? Just as the darkness swelled around him like an ocean wave, he murmured, a hint of hope igniting despite the fear, "I will save you, Emma." In that moment, the shadows shifted as if hesitating, caught between two forces. What would happen next? Jack had no idea. Would he be consumed, or would he break the chains that bound Emma? The next instant, everything exploded into chaos. leaving Jack on the brink of a revelation he couldn't foresee. The question lingered. How far would he have to go to save her? What loomed on the horizon felt imminent and terrifying, like a storm ready to break. Would Jack stand to face it, or would he become just another lost soul swallowed by the night? The world around Jack shattered into a kaleidoscope of chaos. Tension crackled in the air, thick and suffocating. Shadows writhed like serpents, eager to ensnare him. He felt the full weight of the figure's hunger, an overwhelming force threatening to consume him. But in the heart of his turmoil, a flicker of determination ignited. "Emma!" he yelled, voice raw with urgency. Each syllable pushed against the darkness, ripping at the fabric of despair that sought to bind him. He refused to let it win. Somewhere behind that grotesque smile lurked the essence of his love. Jack's focus sharpened as he recalled the warm laughter that used to fill his days. He couldn't let this monster suffocate it. "You don't own her!" he screamed, feeling the surge of defiance coursing through him. The figure recoiled, the smile fading into a sneer. Its jagged teeth glinted, sharp enough to cut through his resolve. "You misunderstand, boy. Her chains are your making as much as mine. Would you sacrifice what you hold dear to save her?" Jack's heart raced, each pulse echoing ominously. The truth echoed back at him, reflecting all the consequences of choices he made in pursuit of his desires. Could he really pass the cost of this rescue onto someone else? As if trying to read his thoughts, the figure lunged closer, enveloping Jack in darkness. The pressure mounted with every inch, smothering him steadily. And then he heard Emma's voice blending with the whispers of shadows, calling to him, crying out for salvation. "Please, Jack," trailed off, quivering with fear. The tendrils of darkness wrapped tighter around her, leaving nothing of her light but the haunting echo of her distress. His breath caught, muscles tensing with a sudden jolt of clarity. In that moment, despair twisted into a fierce resilience. Jack looked into the depths of the figure's eyes, feeling a chill shoot down his spine. If saving her means losing everything, then so be it. I'll do whatever it takes. Just let her go. The creature laughed, a sound that reverberated like metal scraping against stone. "Ah, but can you afford the price? What is one man to lose against the chaos that awaits?" Next to him, Caleb's voice cut like glass in the silence. "Jack, no, don't do this. We can find another way." But Jack felt the warmth of hope burning brighter than fear. "Enough!" he shouted, silencing their doubts. Driven by a fierce bond that transcended fear, he readied himself to confront the dark entity. The tug to Emma's side grew stronger. A bond forged in trust and love fueled his desperation. Suddenly, as if summoned by his fierce will, the chains binding Emma flickered, revealing roots of the darkness that entwined into her very essence. Jack lunged, reaching for his love desperately. But the figure surged forth, skewering through the air, hissing fiercely. "Make your choice, Jack. Will you pay the ultimate price? Front the awakening?" Its voice thundered ominously. With every ounce of his resolve, Jack wrestled with his thoughts, gripped with feeling of impending doom. Whatever it demanded, he knew the outcome either way would alter everything he held dear. Feet planted on the trembling ground, he faced the figure, anticipation swelling within him, and then, with widespread arms ready to embrace his fate, Jack exhaled. "I am willing." The ground split open beneath him, and swirling shadows reached up, drawing him into the depths. As Jack began to descend into the abyss, a blast of memories shot through him: laughter, warmth, love. They anchored him while swirling chaos threatened to engulf. But amidst the gathering storm, a soft voice cut through the din. "You were always stronger than them." Hope blossomed within him, igniting a spark that the dark hordes couldn't snuff out. With sudden clarity, he summoned a final cry. "Emma!" As he fell deeper into the void, the haunting question remained. What would he face at the bottom, and would he ever return? Would love really conquer darkness? Or was it merely the beginning of his descent? Darkness engulfed Jack, wrapping around him tighter than a vice. Every twist of shadow felt like fingers scraping against his skin, and the air turned thick and oppressive. His heart thundered in his chest, reverberating against the silence that pressed down from above and below. As he fell, memories flashed through him: Emma's smile, her laughter, the way her eyes sparkled like stars on a cloudless night. He clung to those images with desperate urgency, as if they could anchor him in this swirling abyss. But just as quickly, sharp images pierced his mind: the fear in her voice, the chains binding her, the monster that taunted him just moments before. Jack's stomach twisted. Was this his doing? Had he brought her into this nightmare? The shadows began to pull him deeper, dragging him past fragments of lost dreams and shattered hopes. What was this price? He wondered in that moment of freefall. The dark figure had promised chaos, but Jack realized he wouldn't know its true extent until it was too late. And then, breaking through the suffocating darkness, a light flickered in the distance, just a glimmer, but enough to stir his heart. Instinctively, he reached for it, propelling himself forward against the weight of despair. Each kick felt heavy, a struggle against invisible anchors weighing him down, but he pushed through. "Come on, Jack, you can do this." He could hear Caleb's distant voice, pushing against the shadows, urging him on. It was a beacon amid the murky depths, cutting through the haze. But even with that guiding call, fear lurked just beneath the surface. Suddenly, the light burst into a vivid tableau, illuminating what lay before him. A vast chamber emerged, slick walls shimmering like oil slicks under his fingertips. Every drop of light felt alive, pulsing with energy. But Jack also sensed something else, something dark embedded within, and in the center stood a pedestal, glimmering with shards of glass that reflected the light. Within its depths lay a swirling mist, alive and hissing, a twisted visage of his own fears and regrets. A sickly dread coiled in his gut. What lay beneath that surface? Is this what I need to face? He whispered, knowing he was standing at the precipice of a choice. With a single step he approached. The mist roiled, the shadows echoing the figure's taunts. "What do you seek, boy?" Each step forward is a step deeper into the abyss. "Emma," he gritted out. "I seek her. I don't care what I have to face." The mist erupted, forming vague shapes that twisted into familiar faces: friends, enemies, moments he wished he could change. Each image clawed at his psyche, forcing him to confront every wrong turn, every lie, every moment that had led him here. Jack staggered back, overwhelmed. "What do you want from me? Would you pay the price for her?" The shadows hissed, curling around him like an embrace. "What will you sacrifice to save your love?" Suddenly, a thought struck him like lightning. The horrors before him weren't just shadows. They were pieces of his own self-memories he'd locked away and buried deep. If he wanted Emma back, he couldn't run from them. He had to face each fear, each regret, and tear down the wall he'd built. Taking a deep breath, he stepped into the mist, feeling the cold tendrils of his past wrap around him. "Let us start," he muttered, ready to confront the darkest corners of his soul. But as he moved forward, a piercing scream shattered the stillness, echoing through the chamber like a warning bell. "Jack." He froze, a chill coursing through him. Was that Emma's voice? Was this her final plea? Or had he stepped too far into darkness? An icy grip of dread weighed heavily on his heart, and as the walls of the chamber trembled, he realized the true chaos had just begun. What would he find within the mist? And more importantly, would he save Emma or lose himself forever? Jack's breath caught in his throat as the scream echoed hauntingly around him, its desperation slashing like a blade through the oppressive stillness. This was no illusion. The fear in Emma's voice was real, raw, and all-consuming. He felt the weight of it squeezing his heart, twisting his stomach into knots. "Jack." Her voice was softer now, like a whisper that drifted through the hazy mist. It was a call filled with pain, and it shattered the illusion he'd been grasping tightly. He couldn't hesitate. "Emma," he shouted, his own voice swallowed by the shadows. The mist before him shifted restlessly, and he could see remnants of twisted memories writhing at the edge of his vision: the broken promises, the sepia-toned laughter, and finally, a glimpse of the anguish. Each memory was a strand woven into the fabric of his identity. Yet now they threatened to unravel him completely. "Face it, Jack," the shadows hissed, their voices a cacophony of doubt and guilt. "What will you surrender to free her?" Jack's cheeks burned as chilling realizations surged through him. Every moment of weakness, every choice he made, each time he turned away when he should have stepped up, they were all floating around him like ghosts. He felt the nausea rise like bile in his throat. "No, I can't," he cried, backing away. The pedestal trembled violently, as if the mist were taunting him, urging him to make a choice. "It's too late for denial," the shadows countered, swirling faster now, wrapping around him like a serpent. "You've already sacrificed so much. Will you lose her too?" And then, the chamber began to crack, fissures slicing through the walls as the spectral mist surged upward. Bursts of blinding light ignited, illuminating dreadful faces that screamed at him from the depths of his past. Each scream resonated with his own fears, compelling him to relive the moments he despised. A flicker of courage flared within him. "I can't lose her," he shouted defiantly, each word a challenge to the chaos around him. At that moment, something shifted. The mist roiled violently and, for a heartbeat, Jack thought he could see Emma's face, pale, desperate, reaching out toward him through the hazy currents. But then it vanished, and so did the light. The room was cloaked in darkness, and the whispering shadows surged around him with venomous laughter. "Do you see now? You are not strong enough." They tormented him, drawing closer. "No," Jack shouted again, his eyes narrowing with newfound resolve. He refused to let them drown him. He wouldn't surrender his heart or soul. As the shadows swirled menacingly, he forced himself to think of Emma's face, her unwavering strength, the love that had always filled the air between them, buoying him up when he felt adrift. And with that thought in mind, he advanced, determined to confront the writhing mass of fear and regret. "If facing this means saving her, even if it costs me everything, then that's a price I'm willing to pay." The shadows recoiled, their hisses transforming into wild shrieks as Jack pushed through the mist. Suddenly, a deafening roar erupted, a forceful wave crashing down upon him. The world tilted violently, tossing him back as if the very fabric of reality was tearing apart. "Jack, no!" Emma's voice, now laced with urgency, filled the air again, but it seemed to be coming from every direction. He stumbled, bracing himself against the onslaught, refusing to be swept away. In the chaos, he glimpsed something glowing in the heart of the storm, a glimmering shard of glass, pulsating with an ancient energy. Without thinking, he lunged for it, hoping it would guide him back to her. As his fingers brushed against the shard, the world shattered, a portal forming before him, one final chance to conquer the darkness. But just as he began to cross, the voice of the shadows whispered one last time, tainted with glee. "Remember, Jack, every choice carries a weight. What will you truly sacrifice?" As he hesitated, torn between the pull of the light and the crashing waves of darkness, he couldn't help but wonder, would he be courageous enough to face the ultimate sacrifice? The portal shimmered, and in that instant, Jack knew that the true test was just beginning. Jack felt the electric pulse of the shard resonate through him, its light casting eerie shadows that danced wildly against the frayed edges of the chamber. It drew him in like a moth to flame, promising safety yet whispering of potential doom. The shadowy figures writhed around him, faces oozing torment and agony, elongating in grotesque shapes as they tried to snatch him back into their suffocating embrace. With a deep breath that felt more like a shudder, Jack launched himself through the portal, the world spinning into a kaleidoscope of colors and shadows. As he crossed the threshold, a piercing pain shot through him, as though 1,000 needles pricked at his skin. He cried out, but the sound was lost in the dizzying void. Then silence. Jack landed hard on a cold, solid surface, gasping for air. The disorientation faded slowly, and he blinked against the brightness of his surroundings. He was no longer in the misty chamber. He found himself in a vast, open field, the moon hanging low and luminous in the star-encrusted night sky. There was a haunting beauty to it, yet dread clawed at his insides. "Emma!" he yelled, his voice echoing like a desperate plea. But the only reply was the soft rustle of grass swaying in the gentle breeze. Panic fizzled beneath his skin. "Where are you?" Ahead of him, the field stretched infinitely, shrouded in a strange luminescence. Without wasting a moment, Jack began to run, the soft earth yielding beneath his feet. Each step was fueled by determination, thoughts of Emma burning brightly in his mind like a beacon guiding him forward as he sprinted. His heart thudded in rhythm with the whispering wind. Memories swirled around him again, the weight of guilt and regret intensifying. He could almost hear the shadows taunting him, reminding him of all he had lost and the very real possibility of losing Emma forever, with renewed urgency. He veered to the right, moving toward a dim light flickering in the distance. As he drew closer, he realized it was a cabin, weathered but standing defiantly against the night. Its windows were dark but promised secrets hidden just beneath the surface. "Jack." That voice, he recognized it immediately. Emma's voice, strong, hopeful, but tinged with an edge of fear. He surged toward the cabin, pushing open the creaking door with little regard for caution. Inside, the flickering light revealed a scene that sent chills down his spine. A table was set in the center, covered in hauntingly familiar objects. Family photos, broken toys, and letters long lost to time. It was as if the past had come to life, mocking him and his choices, and at the far end, near the dim fireplace, Emma sat bound, fear reflected in her eyes as she looked toward him. "Jack, you have to help me." But before he could reach her, the shadows emerged again, this time more solid, their forms coalescing into ominous figures clothed in darkness. "You think you can save her?" One hissed, laughter laced with malice twisting through the air. "You have yet to understand the true cost of this journey. Leave her alone," Jack shouted, stepping in front of Emma, his body a shield against the oncoming darkness. Yet, as he braced himself, the weight of the voices pressed down on him like a collapsing roof. "Decisions have consequences, Jack," the shadows echoed, cruelly mocking. "What will you sacrifice to keep her? Your dreams? Your memories? Or perhaps your very soul?" Jack's breath hitched as the implications sank in, cold realization chilling him to the bone. There was no escaping the truth he'd been dodging. Every man had to face his demons, and now they stood before him, waiting for him to make a choice. He clenched his fists, fury igniting within. "I will do anything." But the shadows closed in, their forms spinning around him like a cyclone of despair. All hope drifted like smoke, and in that fleeting moment, Jack understood the game had only just begun. "Do you have what it takes?" Their voices taunted, fading into sinister laughter as the darkness threatened to overwhelm him completely. With a surge of adrenaline, he reached for the light within himself. Could he find the strength to fight back? What secrets lay hidden in the depths of his soul? The choice loomed before him. He could either surrender or fight, but would he be prepared for the ultimate price? Jack's heart raced as he realized he had one last chance to save Emma or lose everything he held dear. The cabin shuddered with the weight of Jack's decision as shadows twisted closer, taunting him with dark promises. Fear tightened like a vice around his chest. Emma's eyes were wide, reflecting a mix of hope and despair. "Jack, please," she implored, her voice breaking through the tumult. With every mocking laugh the shadows emitted, Jack felt the fire within him ignite. "I want to let you take her," he roared, each syllable tearing through the haze of fear. Clenching his fists, he channeled all his love, anguish, and determination into an unwavering resolve. "You think love can conquer darkness?" The nearest shadow sneered, inches from his face, its breath hot and rancid. "I know it can," Jack shouted back, feeling the strength of emotion surge through him, pushing against the thick barrier. Suddenly, memories flooded back, laughing with Emma under the stars, their whispered dreams, and the warmth of her hand in his. Those moments were more than just memories. They were his armor. The shadows recoiled momentarily, sensing the swell of emotion. But they were quick to regroup, coiling around him, suffocating in their will. "What are you willing to sacrifice, Jack? Your love as hope? Your dreams? Or perhaps your very soul? I'll sacrifice anything, Jack shouted, voice trembling but clear. Anything to save her. And in that moment, he understood sacrifice didn't mean just giving up what he loved. It meant facing the fears that had held him back. Each pulse of dark energy sent shivers of doubt through him, but he pushed hard against it, forcing his way through the grasping shadows before he could second-guess himself. He lunged toward Emma, reaching for her bound hands, feeling the coolness of her skin against his desperate touch. Hold on. He pleaded as he worked to free her from the restraints of darkness that bound her. Tension hung thick as the shadows twisted and writhed around them, hissing their threats. You are too late, one shrieked. But Jack wouldn't listen. Determination burning in his chest, he poured every ounce of love he felt for Emma into an impenetrable force that emanated from him, pushing back against the suffocating darkness. We will face this together, he shouted, and the atmosphere crackled with energy. Breaking free from Emma's restraints was like tearing through a veil of despair. An electric jolt surged through him as the last chain fell, clicking against the floor like a death knell to the shadows. Emma gasped, eyes wide with fear then recognition. Jack, she exclaimed, her voice filled with relief. Let us go, Jack urged, pulling her toward the door, but the shadows surged forward, louder and angrier than ever. Jack couldn't shake the feeling that time was winding down, that they had to keep moving. Just then, the walls of the cabin trembled, disintegrating before their eyes. The shadows were relentless, swirling into a massive vortex that threatened to engulf them. Jack grasped Emma's hand tighter, his heart racing furiously against the dark tide. We have to fight, he shouted. Together, they stepped toward the swirling mass, locking eyes, each drawing strength from the other. Shockwaves of power surged around them, but Jack felt a light igniting within a light only love could create. Now, Jack commanded, and they charged into the chaos, embracing the pull of the light and each other. The shadows screeched, an ear-piercing wail, but Jack focused on the bond with Emma, the love that had always given him the courage to fight. We are more than fear. We are love, he yelled as they plunged into the heart of the storm. A brilliant white light enveloped them, burning away the shadows that had tormented him for what felt like eternity. Jack felt as if he were being pulled apart, body and soul, but he didn't waver. He kept running forward, toward the shimmering promise of hope. The blinding radiance intensified, and Jack could feel the pressure breaking, releasing him and Emma from the shackles of darkness. The shrieks of the shadows faded, diminishing with every step they took together. And then, just as the last remnants of darkness flickered away, they emerged into a sunlit clearing, the oil field stretching before them like a vibrant tapestry of life, an expanse of hope and freedom. Jack looked around, disbelief and relief flooding through him. The sun's rays warmed his face, the sweet air filling his lungs. It was beautiful, but all he could see was Emma standing beside him, breathless but safe. Jack, she gasped, hand clutching his arm as tears shimmered in her eyes. We did it. He exhaled deeply, drawing her close, holding her tightly against him. I thought I'd lost you. I would sacrificed anything for you. His voice trembled with uncontained emotion, relief pouring from his heart. Emma smiled gently, brushing her fingers along his cheek. And I would have done the same. You're my light, Jack. With the shadows behind them, a new dawn began to emerge, one filled with newfound strength, a promise of brighter days ahead. As they stood together, embracing the moment and the power of their love, the whispered threats of the past faded into nothing. Jack finally felt the weight lift, clarity washing over him. They had faced the darkness, fought against it, and emerged not just as survivors but as a testament to the power love could wield. The bond they had reaffirmed was unbreakable, igniting a spark that could never be extinguished as they started walking back towards a future, hand in hand. A sense of peace enveloped them, experienced the unfathomable depths of love, darkness, and sacrifice, knowing every story ends with a chance for a new beginning. Before you go, this is the moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. and flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Do it now. Don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.